Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Brokers Open Podcast. I am Dr. Ben Spears, the ambassador of Flow. I am here with the big guy as usual, Matt Vi. How's it going, dude?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing today, Dr. Ben Spears?
I'm doing all right. I got in my seat,
Yep.
and I was like, man, something feels weird.
Right?
I got shoes on right now.
What is that? What it is?
Yeah, I wear flip flops all the time, and
Right.
so I was like, it's kind of weird. I just leave them over there. But anyway, we're gonna see how it goes. Maybe it makes the podcast better.
Right.
So, Matt, what are we talking about?
So from a big picture standpoint, I think everyone has a marketing plan of action when they talk to their sellers about listing their property. Right.
Yep.
Okay. I think everyone does. They should. Right. But sometimes when I talk to agents or I talk to managers about coaching their agents about how you make the most of that marketing plan of action to ensure you get more of those listings, one of the fundamental things that I think gets missed a lot is they talk about a bunch of the tasks and they don't talk about the strategy of why you do certain things with your marketing plan. So that's what we're actually going to talk about today.
Perfect. I like it. So, guys, wherever you're listening to this, make sure you hit that follow button or that subscribe button. If you want to see, a little bit more about Brokers Open Podcast and what it's all about, go to brokersopenpodcast.com if I can learn how to talk. And then at the very bottom of that page, there's actually a place where you can sign up for our newsletter, and we'll send you, some stuff each month that comes from some of the best producers, agents across the country,
Yep.
people that we interview. Matt's brain, my brain, and which could be a little scary.
All right.
And go straight to your inbox, and hopefully we can help you, generate more business and,
Yep.
and get more closings.
Yeah. So the big picture is don't talk about just the how you're going to market.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the why that you're going to market. Why is it that you're doing certain things that you're doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you having a professional photographer take the pictures?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people would say the reason why you're doing that is because it's just a better quality of picture. Okay.
Right.
Well, the truth is the reason why you're doing that is a professional photographer is going to do a better job of composition of the photo.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right.
A professional photographer is also going to give it to you in a size that allows you to adjust it to whatever else it is that you need.
Yep.
Right? They're also, so if your photos are being stitched together into a virtual tour, a professional photographer is also going to do more pictures, right? And so you're going to
Yeah.
get things stitched together. So there's a lot of reasons of why you do that. Don't just say, oh, one of the things I'm going to do is get a professional photographer to come in and take pictures of the house.
Yeah.
You want to say, of course, I'm going to have a professional photographer come in, but let me tell you a couple of the reasons why it makes a difference to have them. One, the pictures are going to look better on your brochures because it's a higher quality picture. Two, they're going to make sure the composition is the way that they're supposed that it is, so that you're going to get the maximum amount out of it. Three, it's going to be more enticing to buyers because some of these pictures are going to be able to adjust it for different uses because of the quality and the composition of them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to have a professional come in, not just, hey, I'm going to have a professional come in.
Yeah. So it's essentially not just a checklist of items.
Right.
It's a checklist of items along with accompanying strategies.
Right, and the checklist can be a checklist,
Right.
but you describe it on the why.
Yep. Exactly.
Right, and so talk about the profile of the buyer. Right, so instead of just saying, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I get this out in front of as many buyers as possible. Instead of saying that, you're going to say, I'm going to develop a profile of buyers and I'm going to try to target them. That doesn't mean I'm not going to expose it to everyone, but I'm going to try to target specific buyers that you mentioned in our conversation, why you love the house so much, Mr. Seller. I'm going to try to target those buyers, but of course we want to get as much exposure as possible, so I'm not going to limit it to just them. So the profile of who we're going to target are people that like the school zone, like you said.
Yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned is there's the large backyard.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we put the large backyard on display. Did I say that right? I think I said that. Did it? Large backyard on display?
Yeah.
Okay,
No, you crushed all those words in a row.
That's awesome. So and we're going to make sure that people that want a large backyard like that are going to be the ones that this is getting in front of, the people that are families or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So don't just talk about, hey, I'm going to find a buyer. Talk about creating the profile. Talk about creating the avatar of the buyer if you have that capability of being able to do that. Talk about target marketing if you have the ability of being able to do that. That's why I want to I want to get as much information from you as possible, Mr. Seller, because I want to put together a way of figuring out who's going to be most likely to not only buy but pay the most money for your house.
Yeah, absolutely. And so essentially the whole premise of all this, correct me if I'm wrong, is, people, sellers typically interview multiple agents.
Right.
Unless they just have like a really good connection, let's say with an agent or their past agents or brother or something like that.
Right.
You're trying to do everything that you can to set yourself apart. And you say this all the time, that it's not 100% what you say,
Oh yeah.
but how you say it.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you know what you're going to say, then how you say it
Yeah.
is easy to adapt to the situation you're going to say it in.
Yeah.
That's why when people say, "Oh yeah, I don't believe in scripts," we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The truth is, everyone has a script.
Yeah.
Right. You just don't believe in somebody else's script, is what you're really saying.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you say the same thing over and over. Right. People do
Absolutely.
that all the time. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to take what we say and say it in a better way that is
Yeah.
more the strategy of why you're doing it, instead of just the task that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what my script at home is?
Which one? Because you got more than one.
Yeah. My most common.
Stop it.
Stop it. Stop annoying your brother.
Two young boys. Yep. Oh, so probably the next one that needs to be built into your plan of action
Yeah.
is that you can start immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Yeah.
you need to have a way of being able to say in all the things, your checklist and all that kind of stuff. So maybe as you go through some of them, you're going to say, the photographer's going to be here on this day, and this is going to happen on this day, and the stager's doing this on this day. These 3 things I'm going to begin doing immediately, so that mentally, chronologically, they're committing to you right then.
Yeah.
Don't tell them that you're going to start things immediately that aren't the best thing and aren't what you talked about. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But absolutely know that at the point that they sign that paperwork, that you're getting started on some things fundamentally that are the best for what's going on with the sale of their house.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that they know that you're ready to start some things right now.
Yeah.
That needs to be part of your marketing plan of action.
Yeah.
You need to have some things that you're doing marketing right now. So a great example of that would be, as soon as we leave today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out, and I'm going to have a couple member of my teams reach out to people that might be interested in this property, just to see if we have some interest, and then we can determine when's the best time for you to be able to show that property. So now you're telling them something that you told me you wanted me to do, which is sell the house, which
Yep.
we'll talk about in just a second. I'm getting started on that immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting until I put a sign in the yard and put it in the MLS and hope somebody else sells it. Right.
Yeah.
I'm getting started right now, which kind of bleeds into the next one. Right.
Yeah.
On your marketing, in your conversations, do not ever forget the seller, when they sign that paperwork, believes that you are going to find the buyer.
Right.
It's not that they don't know about the MLS, and it's not that they don't know about Zillow and all that kind of stuff, but they're looking at it like, I'm giving you the exclusive right. You need to be the superintendent for finding that buyer.
Yeah.
Your marketing plan needs to approach that. You need
Yeah.
to talk about that strategy. You need to say, well, I'm going to expose it to the other agents that are that are actually in the market, because they might have a buyer that's interested in this property. But I'm also going to put it online the way that we discussed. But I'm also going to make sure that I put it on social media in a certain way that actually is attractive to that profile of buyers that we talked about. Plus, I'm going to make sure that I do all of this because, Mr. Seller, I know that you are asking me to be the person in charge of finding that buyer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not going to put that responsibility in someone else's hands who's completely outside of the transaction.
Absolutely. And not care about it.
Yes.
That's what you're making sure that you're saying to them.
Yeah.
Right.
So we talk a lot about like role playing scripts and that kind of thing. Not in a sense of like, hey, everything should be scripted and blah 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 blah. We don't talk
Right.
like that. But what are some things, right? And I'm going to give an example. I'll put you on the spot here a little bit.
Yeah.
Outside of like role playing with another realtor through your listing presentation, which everybody should do,
Absolutely.
right? Like that's That's like
It's a must.
mission critical, like number one. That's like first step.
Right.
What are some things that someone can do? Because scripts become natural to you when your mindset is like this just in your everyday life. So if I was saying, hey, Mies, my wife, hey, Mies, you're going to the grocery. Would you mind picking up some bread?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then, but then I go on and I say, because I need bread because I want to make sure that I make our kids lunch for tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm taking credit for this, like she does.
Right.
I want to make sure that I make kids lunch for tomorrow. So make sure to get some peanut butter, some jelly,
Right.
And the reason that I want that is I just want to make sure that the boys are they eat a good lunch,
Right.
and they're not just eating like French fries or whatever.
Right.
Which peanut butter jelly ain't great.
Right. It ain't bad though. Come on now.
Yeah, it ain't great for you, but it's great tasting.
It is.
So you see where I'm going there, right? Like I'm using that, like I'm saying, don't just pick up bread.
Right.
Right. I'm building that into my everyday mindset of here's why I need it.
Right.
Not necessarily because Mies needs to hear why I need bread.
Right.
She couldn't
Right.
care less.
Because that's just a task. You're literally just telling somebody what they need to do or what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's vacant of the reason why it's important.
There's no emotion behind it.
Absolutely, no motivation, right?
Yeah.
They're going to connect with you on a different level because of that, right?
Yeah.
And so, absolutely, that is a huge reason why in marketing, especially anybody that knows a tremendous amount about marketing knows that the more that you can tell the story to attract that person to the feeling of the situation, the better off everyone's going to, the more likely everyone is going to be to actually take the action that you want them to take, right?
Yeah.
So one more, right, and then we'll kind of wrap up, right? I think that this one's really important, and it is part of the marketing strategy. You'll notice that these aren't conventional marketing strategy tasks, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. When you're talking about marketing, this is a great time to get these points across. Is why we're bringing them up now. Instead of just saying, I'm going to put it in the MLS, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. That's literally what everyone else is doing. If you say, I'm going to do these things, but here's why I'm doing this, they look at you as a marketing expert at that point because you can explain why you're doing them instead of just telling them what the tasks are. Anyone can hand them a checklist.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's the last one that falls into that category that's just super important. You have to get the point across that every buyer that raises their hand, that you believe that them being followed up on is a critical task.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that they know. So maybe you do this in the wrap up, and that's why this is the last one. You do this in the wrap up in your conversation with them. Mr. Seller, the reason why we're digging into all of this and explaining, and I'm explaining how we're going to take the things that we do for marketing and apply them to the sale of your home. The reason why is because I want I want buyers to raise their hand, and when they raise their hand, please understand that until they're completely vetted out and we know they're not the right buyer for you, until that happens, I know it's mission critical for me to follow up until we're sure they're not the right buyer who's going to pay the maximum dollar for your home.
Yeah.
You make sure that you have that conversation with them. What you're doing is you're putting a bow on it.
Yep.
You're saying all these things are important and here's the reason why, but all of these things are leading to this crossroad. And if you don't talk about that crossroad, they're going to feel like the plan is incomplete.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, here's all the things we're going to do them, here's why we're going to do them, and the bottom line, Mr. Seller, is because we're going to try to get that buyer, and I'm going to work that buyer because I know it's a critical, follow-up is a critical part of what we do.
Yeah, here's your closure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, we appreciate you listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to, if you're okay with it, Matt, I'm just going to put a bow
Yeah,
on this episode.
Yep.
Guys, wherever you're watching this or listening to it, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, any of those platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button, that bell right beside of it. Let you get notified every time we drop a new episode. Go to Brokers Open Podcast, just like I talked about it before. Battery just died on the camera. So
right.
you guys who are listening to this, man, it's the real deal. Go to brokersopenpodcast.com, go straight to the bottom and sign up for our newsletter so that we can help you, generate more business and add more money to your bottom line. we love you guys being listeners. And just remember that when it comes to real estate, especially Brokers Open Podcast, it's not just about open houses.
It's about open minds.